at how the NLRB victories and so forth, affected the situation.
For Starbucks is very different than the NLRB rulings for wild edibles. For Starbucks, we had a somewhat recent ruling, like as a communal Christmas present, I guess is how we put it, because it was right around Christmas time, after a very lengthy trial where we won most of the things out of the 30-plus violations, labor violations that we charged against Starbucks, having to do with union busting, having to do with firing Daniel and Joe Agins Jr. And Isis Inez, and then also having to do with it's 88 pages long, so I'm not gonna. You can find it online. I can tell you how to find it, but to sum up how it's affected work is insane, because I read the ruling, and with the ruling I proceeded to print out pieces of the ruling and post them at work all the time, often bringing up the ruling as to why they're not allowed to discriminate against me trying to organize at my job. Oftentimes, part of the ruling had to do with specifically my store, before I was ever there, Union Square East store, being how there used to be a community board up in the break room where people could put up anything, like their poetry, they could put up pictures, drawings, whatever they wanted to put up. Oh, I'm going to do this show, I'm a musician, this, that, and the other. And when the union organizing started to begin, what also was up on this bulletin board was things about the union, like you can join the union, information about the union, and your rights to join. So once that began, then it became a situation where those were constantly being taken down, those flyers, even while other things remained up. Also, eventually, they did away with the community board entirely as a means of not having a venue for someone to put up union information. And in this ruling, it was found that that was discriminatory against union organizing to be able to put up something, because Starbucks claimed it's not work-related, but poetry that a person writes that has nothing to do with work is also not work-related. Someone doing a show is also not work-related. At my store individually, a member of management posting an ad telling people to join their co-op is not work-related, but can stay up for several weeks. When I post something about joining the union, it's taken down immediately. So with the ruling, it was a situation where I was able to constantly cite this ruling and constantly let them know. Each time I put up a flyer, I'd be like, you removing this is the 11th violation of this ruling. So it's like it gives you a leg to stand on that we didn't previously have, but even more so, it's told the world at large that we weren't crazy, that they were doing this, that they were spying on workers, that they were knowingly and like very much on purpose destroying organizers' lives for their own profit. So it was it's one of those things where, you talk to other activists, like Daniel was saying, you speak to other activists and they believe you, they understand, you're working on this, that, and the other. But you talk to the average Joe, the average consumer, and you're just a conspiracy theorist, like they're not spying on you. Surely they're not going through your backpack and stealing your union business cards like they've done to me. Surely they're not stealing your, your uniform hat because it has union pins on it like they've done to me 5 separate incidents at my store. Surely they're not, this, that, and the other. But in this court case, we got documents of them spying on us. We got documents of them talking, oh, so-and-so's pro-union, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so are our friends, and, maybe they're in the union, and, pro-Starbucks versus anti-Starbucks, and pro-union, and all this stuff. So, so it was because it was legal and rooted in law, the average Joe said all of a sudden it's all this validity to everything the union was already saying, So you have more of a leg to stand on when you're trying to garner support, which has been huge. Just on an organizing standpoint, you turn to your coworker and you say, they're spying on me and they're stealing my stuff and they're, they sent me home because of this, that, and the other, and they're like, I'll be like, oh, did they ask you what we talked about? And they're like, yeah, of course they did. I'm like, that's insane. Why are they asking you what we're talking about, And they're like, oh, Liberty, she's a freak. But then the ruling, and they're like, wait a minute. My boss wants to know where I'm going to parties at. Why do they want to know why I'm at a party and who I'm with and what we're talking about? And it's really been a good organizing tool because, you sit down, you talk to a worker, and you're like, we need to change this, that, and the other. And they think it's no big deal. They think the boss isn't union busting. Why would they bother? So many people, so many workers, at the very least, know that being in a union is legal. They know that it's legally protected activity. So therefore, because it's legally protected activity, they don't understand, they cannot fathom why the boss is against it. It's legally protected activity. So the boss isn't going to stop you to doing something that's legally protected, right? You know, but when it gets down to it, and literally, I turn to my coworker and I'll be like, when we go back inside the store, I want you to count how many managers and in what time frame come up to you to ask you what I spoke to you about outside. And then you come back to me and tell me I'm crazy. And every time without fail, that conversation ends with someone joining the union. So the NLRB ruling has been really profound as far as Starbucks is concerned. It's even been profound as far as like letting managers know what they've gotten into by being managers, you know. Because we've let managers know, you know, we do outreach to workers because that's who we're for, but we also know that the lower management, like in the stores, are just as disposable as we are. We're not here to represent them, you know, they're not allowed to be in the union and various things. But, you know, letting them know that their boss is telling them to break the law has affected people's consciousness, and it is something that sits there like a seed, you know. And it's very important to let people know, you know, yeah, your boss is telling you to do this because, you know, they're going to let you be the fall guy. So, so all of it, like, really long story short, but it's really profoundly affected things. We're still waiting because they are appealing the ruling, but we're pretty confident about it. So it's good. It's the first step.